So when we first adopted, I think it was your idea, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But I'm pretty easygoing about it, right?
You are. He's very easygoing. To the point where I'm very hesitant to tell him about a child because
I might say yes. We started off just as any normal couple might, having children one at a time.
When we adopted Min and Kiet, basically all they said was, we're gonna adopt someone. And we're just like, okay.
And then, a little bit later, we had twins.
and I was feeling done and tapped out and really, really thought maybe our family was complete.
Until she saw the picture of Hayden. Elizabeth had that feeling like, oh my goodness, this is my child.
This is my room.
She has what's called sebaceous nevus syndrome, fairly uncommon congenital deformity or defect. These are often seen as stripes of lesion between normal areas of skin. In her case, they're very extensive. They cover parts of her face, forehead, scalp.
She has skin overgrowth, tissue overgrowth. She has bone overgrowth, and she has brain overgrowth, which causes some brain abnormalities. So that we're constantly trying to keep seizures under control, and it can also impair cognitive function. Hayden is able to learn and process things. It just happens at a slightly slower speed. She also has some memory issues, but I'm still not convinced whether that's syndrome related or if that's trauma related.
She has a deep desire to look like everybody else. Coming with us, in addition to having a mommy and daddy, she clearly understood that she would have surgery. And she was in a hurry, that she was sort of like, okay, well, we're here now. When do I get to look like everybody else?
What are you expecting the doctors to do to you?
Well, like, pretty. They will take this back skin and they will put new skin on here, left like here.
Would you draw?
Yeah.
From the time we met her in China, for the next year and a half, 2 years or so, she was like the perfect child. Everything was happy, everything was fine. It was as if any emotion at all just scared her so much that she couldn't reach down and even begin to touch it. As she's begun to feel safer, we have started to see real emotion. When she doesn't get her way, she'll pout. Sometimes she will haul off and slug a sibling, which you don't want to encourage, but on the inside you're also thinking, that is so wonderful.
Afterwards, she often then wants to talk about, do mommy and daddy still love you when you cry, when you're angry? And that's obviously a chance to say yes.
I think what people miss out on are all the positives that come from having more brothers and sisters around.
It's also not a zero-sum game. It's not that every parent has one quantity of love and attention to give.
Yeah, it's that my love can't be used up.
At each step along the way, it's just sort of, well, we did that, maybe we could do this.
Daddy! Mommy!
Okay, everybody, look at me. Say Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas!
Money, I will admit, is a constant worry.
Yeah, I've stayed up late at night worrying about that.
I will say, as a parent, I do wish we had the resources to provide some extra things that we just monetarily can't.
We've chosen to forego some things that other people might feel are non-negotiable.
I don't feel like our lives are impoverished because we still use flip phones. I would probably still use a flip phone even if I could afford a smartphone, just because I'm reactionary that way. I pay the bills every month, and somehow the bills get paid. God has provided every step of the way.
On the 12th day of Christmas, my true love came to me. Pipers piping, drummers drumming, 10 lords of leaping, ladies dancing, singing, bells are ringing,
Everybody will come in.
Ting Ting, come over here. Ting Ting. Well, Ting Ting. Well, home. This is yours. Debbie. Yeah, these are for you. 1, 2. Hi, you're Barbie. Yeah, this is a Barbie. Can I tell Hey, what did you say? Ah! It's mine. No. Okay. Yes. Wow. Danke. Das ist mein Barbie. Barbie.
Where's Yuting?
I think Yuting's in the the living room doing the piano. I think.
Oh, okay. It's hard to have new sisters all of a sudden. I know, but Mommy and Daddy have to share, and Gigi and Lena have to share, and Duncan and Min have to share. So you get to share too, for a little while.
Do this.
Yuting just turned 9, and we believe that she has cerebral palsy that has yet to be confirmed.
Let's keep one out. Let's keep one out. Come on.
We're finding that she's really exceptionally bright and on top of things and catches on, and she's also incredibly sunny and optimistic and cheerful.
Ting Ting, she is on paper, on the documents, they show her age as 10 years old. But when you kind of put together the pieces of the known history, she's almost certainly more like 13 years old. Her diagnosis is linear nevus sebaceous syndrome, which is the same diagnosis that Hayden has.
To put a number on it, cognitively and functionally, we're looking at like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
It's been hard on everyone. And by everyone, I am definitely including Ting Ting herself, for whom it has been the most difficult. I will say I have never felt like such a failure as I do much of the time parenting this child. I know about trauma. I know about attachment disorders. I lived with these things in more than one of my children for years. Yet this time, it feels harder. Much harder. I think I'm coming to realize that when my kids were littler, I had a bigger support system. As far as friends and people who understood me, I was going through life with a lot of other people in the same phase of life. As we veered away from the typical path, you realize that, wow, my life looks so different from all these other people. And as a consequence, your social circle becomes increasingly smaller. I have a lot of friends via the internet who are in the same situation I am, and they're incredibly lonely. It is a universal thing. Ask any mother raising special needs children, and I would venture to guess that 99% would say loneliness and lack of social support would be the hardest part.
Bonjour, at the table.
Yes.
For both Hayden and for Ting Ting, the consequence of linear nevus sebaceous syndrome is that the structure of the brain is just badly wired, and it's not something that they're going to grow out of.
Parenting Ting Ting has been particularly hard. I don't think anyone could have anticipated the degree of regression that she experienced. She essentially completely lost all language. What? What? Words. What? Words. Words.
Words. You have to use words. Is that your place?
You can say, this is my place. She is missing so much, and it's so hard for her to interact with the world around her that there is no reciprocity in the parent-child relationship at the moment. She will touch me continuously, but that's very different than a child giving you a loving embrace. That's just, I need physical attachment to someone. You are close, and so you are the one I'm going to touch right now. She doesn't like to look people in the eye. She doesn't like to open her eyes. You don't know how much you miss that connection until it isn't there. It's getting better over time, but it's hard to live with essentially the shell of a child.
Okay, we have a lot of stories.
Sorry.
I am very close to you. Okay, first we'll read the Egg in the Hole book. One day, up in the hayloft of the barn, Henny laid an egg. The egg rolled through a hole in the floor to a room down below. Oh my, I hope I haven't lost it, she said. Gigi, when we get to your story, you can switch places, okay? Yes. When we get to her story, we will switch places. Have you seen my egg? Asked Henny. Yes, I have, said Billy Goat. It fell on my ice cream.
Along with the feelings of failure come the feelings of guilt. guilt that I am not living up to what all the people in China had hoped for their darling girl. In China, Ting Ting had an amazing support system. She had 2 churches worth of people who were heavily invested in her well-being. They are the ones who raised the money for her adoption, and they had prayed very, very hard for an adoptive family to come forward. And we were that family. We were the answer to many, many people's prayers. And I realized that that can be burdensome. You feel like you're letting a whole bunch of people down by being an average parent.
You would be too, wouldn't you? Hi, Mommy, said Baby Chip.
Hi, Mommy.
With Hayden, we are continually amazed at each new step that she takes.
If you were to compare it with other children without her same issues, it would seem very small. But for Hayden, it's enormous. And if it takes us the next 8 years to make more gains, we have all the time in the world. We don't have to be done at 18.
Remember, no touchy.
Hayden is really taking on that role of the big sister, who can be a little bossy maybe sometimes, but who also is just a super helper.
What? No, she's not.
When Ting Ting's laundry is folded, Hayden will help get it in the right drawer and get it put away.
I wash up.
Often Hayden will help Ting Ting get breakfast, little things like that.
We've also watched her become much more adolescent. She doesn't want to be one of the little kids anymore.
Yeah. I still said your earring.
Hey! You're my prisoner!
It's stuck.
I know.
Turn around.
I'm a dragon!
Okay. Look at that. Raise your hands up there. Beautiful. Some people run for the school board. Some people volunteer. Some people go into the ministry. This fills for us that sense of purpose, that we're part of a bigger thing. And I think that's why Elizabeth is so committed to conversations in communities about adoption, wanting people to know this is the reality of it.
1, 2.
What?
I bet I could make a crown out of silver duct tape.
Can we put the candy in the bowl?
All adoption starts in trauma. So then what does that mean for the bond between the parent and the child? What does it mean for how the child will respond to the parent and to the world around him or her? The sugar-coated story of adoption is that you find that child is filled with joy at having been found by you. You are filled with joy at having found that child, and everybody lives happily ever after. That's not really what most adoptive families experience. What most experience is they commit to this child, and then they realize, wow, I'm not sure we really like this child.
Not big enough.
And the child is fighting them. The child says, what do you mean I'm going with you? I didn't choose to go with you. I don't want you. And yet now you are bound together. Feel, Ting Ting. See? Do you want a crown? Okay, thank you.
Before I adopted, I knew what it was like to love a child I gave birth to. And after we adopted, I learned that love is bigger and so much more multifaceted and deeper than just that biological connection.
Tilly, lids. No?
You learn that you can love a child who doesn't necessarily love you.
You love that? Love candy. Next.
Love is not an emotion, it's an act of will. Over time, that bond is formed. the child you just weren't sure you even liked becomes a child you can't imagine living without. Now look, do you like it? Yeah, is that okay?
Yeah.
It looks like a real princess crown, don't you think?
Yeah.
Good, look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Look. There. I like it too. I think that's nice. Okay, good.
Very short ears. We have a lot of candles. You just have to get them. Stand in front of the tree. There. Okay, I got you two.
The most heartbreaking thing is I can't go back and change my children's lives for them. I can't give them what they would most desire. And I'm not it. I am their third best choice. The first would be to be able to stay in your family of origin. The second would be to be adopted by a family in their own country so that they didn't lose their first language and their culture. I am the third best. I know my place in their world.
Hey, Ting Ting, come here. Let me take your picture. Hold still.
And the best I can do is to accept their pain and to love them through it all.
Okay, now I want everybody.
Some of them may never love me as much as they love that first family, and that's okay.
Everybody. Everybody. You too, Ting Ting. You too, Lafayette. Quick, look at me. 1, 2, 3. Candy.
There's nothing they owe me.
Even Lafayette. You're fine. You're fine. Look at.
Because they didn't choose this.
All right. So document.